Do you like 3D printing? You do? Me too! How about 3D printers that can also do CNC carving? I knew you'd like that. Let's check one out. Hey guys, today we're talking about the EcubMaker ToyDIY 4-in-1 3D printer. They sent this to me to review, and I've been really excited to get it because it has taken a long time. It's been a long process, about 3.5 months since I first started talking to them. Due to our current circumstances in the world, the shipping and their manufacturing and everything has just taken forever. But that just makes it all the more exciting to get it and get to play with it. So I'm going to be showing it to you. So this thing does 3D printing, of course, with, if I can hold these up, 2 colors at the same time. And it has a heated bed. And it does laser engraving. And it does CNC carving, which is all really cool. So they call it 4-in-1. And you might be wondering, where's the 4th one? Well, they're actually calling it that because of single color and dual color. Okay, it's kind of iffy, but you know, it's all right. We'll just deal with that. Apparently, they originally sent it with 2 heads for the printing, one that did single and one that did double. But why? So now they just include the double because it can do both. Unfortunately, there is a problem with this print head that I have, so they're sending me a replacement. So I can't talk about the printing right now, but I will do videos on the laser engraving and the CNC carving. So the first one, today we're going to be talking about the CNC carving. And it's pretty cool. When you first think of CNC carving, you might think, oh wow, I could take a block of wood and sculpt a full 3D object out of it. Unfortunately, no. This one will not do that. But it will take a piece of acrylic or a piece of flat wood and carve your design into it, which is still pretty cool. It's good for signs or making cool designs for people. You could take a box and carve designs onto all the outside of the box. So that would be pretty cool. So anyway, today we're going to be carving into some acrylic. Let's see, I have my acrylic here. Here's my acrylic is right here. It's not clear right now because it has a plastic film on it. But yeah, we'll just mount that on there. First, we have a magnetic bed for the printing. But for this one, we have a CNC carving raft that we stick on there, and then we have some bolts that screw it down, and they have these little mounting brackets like so that will mount your piece of acrylic or wood or whatever onto the carving raft. So let's get started. First, I need a design. So I have a cool design in mind. Let's go take a look at it. I've got this pretty cool Audi R8 model that I made like 10 years ago. But I thought it would be cool to etch this or carve this into the acrylic. So let's go over to layout and make a cel-shaded version of it. Okay, here we are in layout, and I've already done the cel shading part. So we can see when I switch over to the VPR, and there we go. So that is pretty cool. So I've also chosen a camera angle that I like, so let's switch over to the camera view. And I think it would look really cool like this. We got some real nice details in there. You can see it from the front too, but we don't see a whole lot of details in the hood. So I think the back view looks cooler. Okay, so let's give that a good full F9 render, and then we can bring it into the CNC software. Here's a quick tip before we move on. You can either save out your render as a PNG 32-bit, or if you didn't, you saved it as a 24-bit, bring it into Photoshop. And let's make this layer editable here. And I'm going to select the magic wand and click, and then delete the background. Because if you don't, then the CNC software is going to make an edge all around the outside, and you probably don't want that. So here we are in EcubMaker. If you do a lot of 3D printing, you might recognize this is just a tweaked version of Cura. And so this automatically starts off in the FDM printing mode, but we can switch it over to CNC with Add Machine at the top. And we'll come down to ToyDIY 4-in-1, and then CNC Toolhead. And you can either add a shortcut directly to the desktop or just click yes. And here's our little pop-up here. And so we can either load a vector file, an image file, or view G-code. I guess that means loading G-code. So we're going to open an image file. And here I've got my Audi R8 with the transparent background. I'll load that up. And so we've got a bunch of different settings here for the contrast. We get lighter, darker, brightness. Now I pretty much had it set the way I wanted it, so I don't really need to mess with any of these. So you can spin it around or mirror it, make it grayscale, which it already is. The plot direction, I'm not really sure what benefit there is to going horizontal or diagonal. Fill areas, just fills it in. Draw outline is what we want. What I'd really like, and I don't know how to do yet, is to have these black areas solid. I will have to figure out how to do that. But so we're just going to get an outline. So after you've got everything adjusted here the way you like, let's make this visible here, and then we'll just create G-code. And it'll take a few seconds, and there it is. Now the green lines are showing the tool path every time it lifts up away from the acrylic or whatever you're carving. We can click show moving path to turn that off. And there it goes. So now we just have the red is where it's going to be carving. Now it doesn't look that pretty now, but that's because it's really tiny. So I've measured and figured out the best size will be 60 millimeters high. So 60, press enter, and then it automatically links it with the width as well. So that looks pretty good. You can use the mouse wheel to zoom out, and we can see our lines here. Oops. You can see our lines here showing the measurements. And so we have a few more settings here. We have our carving speed for certain materials. You might want to go slower. We have carving depth. I'm going to turn this down to minus 0.5. And so every time you change something in here, you'll see this pop up or flash, and you'll have to hit create G-code again. And then it resets your scale, but that's okay. And I'm going to also change the Z up position. So this is every time it finishes one section, it'll lift up away from the acrylic, and this says how far it lifts. Now the absolute safest would be 20 millimeters, but keep in mind it takes a few seconds every time it lifts up. So it'll lift up for 20 millimeters, move to the next position, and move down. And this happening over and over again is going to add to the amount of time.
So now it depends. If you want to play it safe, you could go all the way to 20. I'm going to say 15. I think 15 millimeters is pretty good. So I'm going to have to hit create G-code again. Okay, and then I'm going to set this again to 60 and press enter. Okay, so now that we're done with all of our settings, we can just come in here and hit save G-code, and then we'll put it on the SD card and bring it out to the printer. Okay, so we're back with our G-code on the SD card. Let's get it in the slot. Okay, and I'm going to turn the unit on. It's got a very nice light that comes through up here. It's powering up. And I'm going to move the bed so that I can actually use it. Move access. Okay, it'll be Y. I always have to remind myself that on these printers, Y is not up. Okay, there we go. Okay, move that forward so I can access it. And then I'm going to move the head up, so that would be Z. Okay, that should be good enough. Let's get our raft on there. I've got a little bag of tools here. Let's start screwing these on. Okay. Put it through. Make sure it's going through the hole. And just get it on there loosely. Okay, got that loosely in place. I got my piece of acrylic here and see if I can get this film off. There we go. Oh, very satisfying. Oh, it ripped. Okay, maybe the other side will be good. Oh, it's coming. There we go. Very satisfying. All right. Now we're going to put this down on here. I'm going to try to get it centered as best as I can. Okay, now I can put these up on top of the edges and screw them down all the way so they're nice and tight. Of course, if it's a piece of soft wood or something, you wouldn't want to go too tight or you damage the edges of the wood, but just tight enough so that it's not going to move. Okay, so let's switch the tool head. Okay, we'll come down to change tool header and change to CNC header. And it says, please unload filament first, then click next. Okay, now I don't believe I have any filament actually in there, but we do have to take these boson tubes out, PTFE tubes. So the instructions just tell you to remove the tubes, but it doesn't specify that there are actually these little plastic collars around here that you have to press them down before you can pull this out. It kind of locks it in. Okay, those are out. And then we'll click next. And it says remove the original tool header but do not unplug the cable. So we've got a little screw in the back here. Okay, got it out. Now we're going to slide the tool header off. There we go. Just set it down and click finish. And so it says power off the machine and then change the tool header. So So I'm going to power that off, and I will unplug the cable from the tool header here. It's a little tough, you got to kind of wiggle it out. There we go. Okay, so set that tool header aside. And I've got the CNC tool head here. Here it is. And it's got a little bit of foam on there because that is sharp. Don't want to get injured. And I'll put the cable back in. And we'll slide it on. I'm going to move this over. Okay, and then we'll put the screw in. Okay, that is on. Let's turn the machine back on. And so now it says CNC printer. Hopefully you can read that. So, come up here to CNC print build. Press, and step 1, place objects. Already done. Step 2, move axis. So, according to the manufacturer, you can just slide these back and forth. But it's a little iffy. So, I'm just going to do it manually, or do it automatically. So let's move X. X is pretty close. Let's move Z. Move it down. I'm trying to get it as close as I can. It's a little bit hard to see exactly where it is with the clear acrylic. And I can move Y. That looks centered. Let's check the X, make sure it's directly centered. It is not. Okay, that looks centered. Okay, so after you've got everything all positioned the way you like, I'm going to move the Z-axis, and I'm going to put a piece of paper under there. And I'm going to move the paper around as I'm lowering until I feel some drag. There we go. The paper is now stuck. So we'll go back up a little bit. There we go. That should do it. Okay, and so now we are ready to start printing. Let's go back to the main area, and I will go down to step 3, set origin, and done. And then step 4, print from SD. And I'll choose my Audi R8, and now it's starting. Okay, now the bit is spinning up, it's moving down. Slowly moving down, getting into position. Okay, so we're done our carving, and there it is. Look at that.
But wait, you say, something's not right. That's only half a car there. Well, yeah, there had a little bit of a problem. So when these ship, this arm tends to be hanging down a little bit. It's not level. And I've seen a lot of people talk about this on other reviews. And so I had to level it, which is not too difficult. You just have to loosen these two screws and then make it level and then tighten them up again. So that was fine. The other problem was that the bed itself was not level, which shouldn't normally be a problem with 3D printing because this does have auto leveling for the 3D printing, but that does not work with the CNC carving. So I had to contact them to find out how to level this. So you actually have to remove the whole bed with 3 screws, and then it's kind of janky, but you have to add some pieces of tape to the support that holds the bed up. Adding some pieces of tape, then putting the bed back on and tightening the screws. And then I checked with a little bubble level, to make sure it was level, and it was not. So I took it off, added some more tape, put it back on, then it was level. Okay, and then I just double checked this and made sure it was the same amount of being level, and we did another print. And we got this one. And this one is perfect. But it took almost 17 hours. And so, yeah. I decided to play with some of the settings. And so I messed with some of the settings and made it a very shallow depth, like 0.1 millimeters. And then I made it basically go as fast as it could go. So then I got this one, which looks exactly the same, but took about 5 hours. Huge difference. For the carving, it looks really great. In fact, they look so similar that I had to number them so I could tell which was which. Yeah. Oops, this way. It really looks nice. And so I will definitely be using this again for other projects. So, just for the heck of it, this is the one that came on the SD card for the machine. Now, and you can see already this one, the very edge of it did not come out quite right. But, you know, it's a really beautiful image there. I can't quite tell. I think it's a peacock. I can see its head there and feathers going around, but it's really nice. So that is the CNC carving with this machine. In the next video we'll be talking about the laser engraving. I already tried that once and that's really cool. Unfortunately I can't film a whole lot of that because I'm afraid the laser might damage my camera lens, but I did film a little bit. So again, a big thank you to EcubMaker for sending this to me. And so I'll see you next time, and you know, be sure to like this video, subscribe, please, I need more subscribers. And then I'll see you next time.